You on The Lunchroom on RCI, Monday to Friday, 12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom, informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI, food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Friday, October the 13th, 2023, and this is program number 1073. I'm your host, Alex George Jr. And in addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can get us at our website, rcistlucia.com. And of course, as well, you can find us on Facebook. Just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And we are live streaming there as well. Please share that link with your friends and family. The number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also message in via our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Now, some birthday wishes for today. First going out, Mrs. Vimla St. Hill, happy birthday to you. And we're hoping that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. And, of course, hoping that you enjoy the entire weekend, the entire year, and many, many more. And also sending some birthday greetings out to Mr. Benny Hippolyte. Happy birthday to you, sir. And we do hope that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration as well. Well, a bit of history. In the year 54 AD, Nero succeeded Claudius as the Roman emperor on this day. In 1307 on this day, French King Philip IV has his Grand Master Jacques de Molay and Knights Templar arrested and charged for idolatry and corruption. In the year 1884 on this day, the International Meridian Conference in Washington, D.C. establishes Greenwich in London, England as the universal time meridian of longitude. 1924 on this day saw Mecca fall without a struggle to Saudi forces led by Abdulaziz ibn Saud. In 1943 on this day, Italy declared war on the former Axis partner Germany. 1944 on this day, U.S. First Army began the Battle of Aachen, the first German city captured during World War II. And in 2010 on this day, in the Copiapo mining accident in Chile, comes a happy ending as all 33 miners arrive at the surface after surviving a record 69 days under the ground. And we now move on to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also glass, glassware, and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries. Bosses, you Brazilians. And Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, it is this month, Moi Héritage Creole, and we are celebrating Creole Heritage Month, a time in which we look at our Creole heritage, our from its language and the spoken word to the food, the cuisine, the gastronomy. That seems to dominate quite often very many people's interests. Of course, as we look down towards Journée Creole, but certainly, of course, as well, the number of festivals and rituals that are on. Of course, this Friday, a number of schools will be, in fact, engaging in their celebration of Fête Marguerite, La Marguerite Festival, one of the two flower festivals that has been celebrated here in St. Lucia. We can easily say for hundreds of years now, and certainly is part of the celebrations of Creole Heritage Month. Of course, seeing lots of interest being played in the various communities, ensuring that it's not just about Journée Creole, it's not just about the day, but celebrating the entire month, and to hopefully ensure that we see a greater inculcation of all aspects of the culture, so that it pervades all parts of our lives. Now, of course, music is a really important aspect of celebrating our Creole heritage, and this year, through the efforts of Kai Creole, there was another Chante Creole competition which occurred, which happened over the weekend past, and indeed efforts at ensuring that Creole is infused into our singing and our music, and there are lots of efforts towards doing that. But this competition certainly is part of that effort. And of course, we've got to thank all those behind the scenes that are making it happen, including the likes of Karen Tobier, who I know has been very passionate about this effort. Well, I think we've got a new king, a new monarch, and he is certainly no stranger to the matter of music. It's one of his great passions, and certainly he brings it even into the classroom as well, and to so many other areas where he's been doing such wonderful work. And he is Mr. Robert Rene. You may know him as being part of so many different agencies, the St. Lucia National Youth Council as well. But very many people know him for his marvelous voice. And thank you so very much for joining us to share your dish of the day, this dish of the day, when we speak about your recently crowned success over in this music competition. Welcome to the Lunchroom.
Thank you very much. Merci en pile, as we say in Creole. Yes.
Now, I noticed, I think I got a glimpse of... I listened to
a little bit of my
Ezra.
song.
No. I was going to say I was Ezra doing an ad recently and trying to embellish the Creole in some sort of French tones and accents. Now, you know, there'll be some people who will be debating about that, and it's part of the challenge of Creole.
I'll tell you what, you see, the thing about Creole is, especially considering the fact that Creole is spoken in places like Haiti, it's spoken in Dominica, it's spoken in Martinique as well. And so even when you hear the people from Martinique come to St. Lucia, their Creole actually has a little bit of French in it, of course, because they have that heritage as well. But ultimately, Creole was always a language that the vast majority of the lexicon of Creole words come from. You could see the French characters included in it. So to speak it with a little bit of a French accent is not necessarily a bad thing. It's a bit harsher here in St. Lucia, but it's something even when the people from Haiti, and that's one of the things that tell you whether or not people's it's like English, because we all speak, a lot of people around the world speak English, but because of where they come from, there's a particular accent. And so the Haitians, they speak it with a little bit of a French as well. It's so fluent and so fluid. But yeah, I actually, French is a language that I like. I was just telling somebody earlier today, I'm probably about 60-something% proficient in French. And so, every time I speak the Creole, occasionally some words that I know to have come, who has its etymology in French, I tend to, give it
use
a
it.
Yeah,
You throw in the loan words from the French. Yes, and I know, like that is of course the big debate. These loan words, because the language has to find form and expression, and how do you get certain things to be stated is so very interesting. Some of the expressions that we have.
I know Creole is that type of a language, and especially when you learn how to use it properly, as people like Cheka Pesh has. They can really truly bring out these forms of expression and also create that sort of interest. Cheka Pesha has been doing wonderful work for quite a number of time. So if we as a people can embrace it a little bit more and appreciate how the language can be used, then Creole, I think Creole will be around for a very long time.
No, I mean that is part of the big challenge that we've been facing. I don't think it's fair to say that at this point in time we may be at a point where the language has been declining for some decades
debatable
now, and
it's debatable, and I'll tell you why it's debatable, right? So from my vantage point, of course, having to deal with a lot of young people,
right?
So when you talk to young people and you bring up let's say you have a conversation with them in Patois, generation is lost. A lot of them tell you, I can't speak Patois, and find it difficult to pronounce Creole words. Now, in another interview, I spoke about the responsibility of educators and teachers in helping to bring Creole in the classroom. But one of the things I think has really, really failed us when it comes to the Creole is the parents themselves. Parents, grandparents as well. Because the minute our society started becoming a more learned society and people started becoming more educated, there was this notion that Creole was a language for poor people, and that Creole was a language that, should not be embraced. We should embrace English, and English is that language of class. And so what tends to happen is the parents stop speaking the language to the children. And so you have so many people, and even when you're just growing up, you start realizing, our first forms of communication happen in the home. And so if you're only being taught English from the time you're a child, and the parents only use the Creole as a, as something to hide things from you, then it's no wonder that half of this particular generation don't know or speak Creole at all. And so that's why I say it's debatable, because some will tell you, especially on the ground, they may say that, there are a lot of young people that don't know Creole. Now, having said that, there's also the flip side, that things like Dennery segment, because of their interest in Dennery segment, they are being introduced to that particular form. And so you could hear them embracing that. But in terms of, but for them, in a song, it's not something that per se they're constantly communicating in the Creole. So that aspect is keeping them interested as well. So I think, we can continue to create more things to keep them interested. But I think we need to change the narrative from the home. And the parents need to start speaking the Creole to the children. I honestly believe that that's one of the ways for us to ensure that they are always immersed in the language.
But, I mean, we're getting to a point now where these very same people we're talking about, they already are parents. And they can't pass it on because they don't know it.
Because they don't know it. Yeah.
So it's right. A bolted horse.
Yeah.
And the question is, how do you actually reverse that? I mean, I did hear a statement by the parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Tourism and Culture Creative Industries, Senator Gibeon Ferdinand, making the point that, yes, it's time for the teaching of Creole in schools, but are we seeing the moves towards having that happening? I mean, are there pilot programs in place? Is it happening at all right at this point?
Yeah,
where are we at?
Right, but the other thing too is, okay, so and every single language that you teach, in order for you to teach the language, you must be formidable in the language. That's one. You must also understand the rules of the language. That's where, have we determined and decided whether or not Creole has any rules in terms of the formation of words and or things like conjugations and stuff like that. Do we conjugate verbs in Creole? You know, what really are the rules? Or are we just saying, hey, we have a Creole dictionary which has all the words, and we're just going to teach children how to make sentences in Creole? Is that the direction that we are going? Or, you know, or are we really going to do this thing in such a format where it is so standard that anybody from across the world, or anybody who's an educator, should be able to pick up this material, follow it step by step, and be able to impart it. So But
that work has been done, as far as I'm aware. I mean, there's been a lot of work that has been done through the auspices of the FRC and working with a number of international Creole groups. And that's since the 1980s.
As in developing all the rules for the language?
Yeah. In terms of the looking at the structure, the syntax, how you conjugate, how you create sentences.
Right.
It's a written language which it can actually be taught.
It's now
formalized and all of that. And I think a lot of it has been done. I mean, even people like Dame Paulette Louise, from very long ago, they've been involved in this, and so many others. Professor Hazel McDonald Simmons have done a wide body of work in terms of the structure, exactly as you're saying, which is so very important. But as with many of these languages, you definitely do have to have an agency or an institute that does exactly as you're saying, is sort of like the go-to to say, well, this is what it is and this is what it's not. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about, well, there's a need for a Creole language commission. As, if other countries they would have had, let's say in Finland, they'll have a Finnish language commission, or in Estonia, they'll have an Estonian language. So you have this body that is responsible for doing that kind of work that you're talking about the structures and rules of the language. So we here in St. Lucia, perhaps do need to have that in place, no doubt about it.
I definitely think so. I think again, at the end of the day, it appears that when it does get to the educational institutions, it's going to be taught as a foreign language.
Well, and that is something. That's a very important point that you're making, because for a lot of people, it will no longer be. Their mother tongue. It will be something that they will have to be learning.
That's sad. It's sad. It's sad that a language that all our foreparents spoke now has to be taught, or will most likely be taught, as a foreign language. And the English don't have that issue. The French don't have that issue.
Well, some people will say as well. I mean, I don't want to be too controversial to disrupt it.
No.
But some people will say that we perhaps should be learning English as a foreign language in some respects, because the English that we speak is actually not exactly the very same English.
But the thing about it is, English is so infused and ingrained in everything that we do. Almost every teacher, even if you may not have gotten a 1 or distinction in English, or that these. You are familiar with the language. Most people are familiar with it, and so if you go to a primary school, 100% of or secondary school, 100% of the teachers speak English, right? But only a small percentage of them speak Creole, and even at that level, only a small. So now, like you already say, they now have to go back, learn the language, and then come back to teach it again as a foreign language. But as opposed to having an entire staff that is proficient in the Creole, as they are proficient in English. And of course, like I said, we're not necessarily saying that they have to be experts, because to be you can still go and be an expert in English.
Well, I suppose maybe the place that you've got to start too is with your teacher education. Maybe that's where you, as part of the teacher education program, teachers should all be learning Creole and learning how to also, learning it, of course, for themselves, and building up their fluency, but also Creole education, how it's taught as well.
I agree with that. I think not unless we start, and again too, and I don't know if it's an identity issue, but even with, so there is a professional certification offered by a body in England called the Associate Board of Royal Schools of Music. ABRSM.
Yes, I remember that.
And when you're doing an ABRSM certificate, ABRSM ensures that you learn their folk songs, the English, their folk songs. So if I want to get a professional certification in practical singing, I have to learn 3 English folk songs. Now, where have we adopted a similar model and say, listen, you're writing CXC maybe in St. Lucia as part of your, are we saying as part of your SBAs or as part of your, exam, you need to, have a folk song. You need to either learn, if you're playing an instrument, maybe learn to play a folk song, maybe learn to sing a folk song, dissect a folk song, understand the rudiments of, are we saying that these things are part and parcel? Are we infusing
is it there in terms of CXC music? I mean, is that part of a sort of a requirement?
CXC music, I'm more familiar with the primary school syllabus because I teach at a primary school. But I don't recall, because I did assist a young man with his CXC music once, and I don't remember him having to do, having
so it's not a requirement.
Requirement.
Mm-hmm.
They have to compose songs and they can compose their own songs or whatever.
Right.
But I'm not particularly sure, and I don't want to, because I know Mr. Joseph is probably the best person to answer that question, but I don't think it is. And my thing is that even if it's maybe at that level, there are so many other levels and so many parts of our society where it can be infused. Right now, we're trying to ensure that we teach the children the Creole songs. We're teaching them the Margaret, the Rose songs.
Are you afraid though? I mean, you're a young guy, Robert, but just looking at what is going on right now and the scene in terms of even the music and the musicians, especially those who are playing various instruments. I mean, we can bring this really very close to home. I mean, with even Karen's brother, I believe, Norman, who is very well known in terms of his being so astute with the violin, and just recently, unfortunately, having an accident, a road accident. And you're seeing, this one individual being so critical in an entire period like this, Creole, Journée Creole and Creole Heritage Month, and then I think of people like Charlie and his band.
But if you look at,
there's so few people out there, really. I mean, this is
exactly.
How are we propagating this?
So if you notice the Taiwanese exchange not too long ago at the cultural center, there was a cultural exchange between Taiwan and St. Lucia, and I think the Taiwanese were playing their
traditional instruments.
Mm-hmm. You notice that most of them are young people who can play traditional instruments. We have very few, I would say. I know that we have had some effort with the drumming. I know Nestor and these guys had a drumming thing going on. The banjo, folk instruments like the banjo, folk groups or folk bands. There aren't many. Whenever I've gone to some of these actual folk activities, there aren't many, as you rightly say. There may be. I remember a young man playing the violin in with the folk band, but we don't understand yet the importance of it. I don't think sometimes.
And something like this is going to take some active, deliberate action to try to. Yes. Because I mean, let's face it. These gentlemen have been doing this for a very long time, and it's going to take years probably to understudy them and the techniques and how they play and getting the various senses. And they're, of course, in the twilight of, I'm not saying that we want them to go anytime soon, but that's the reality of it. That it's going to take something really immediate to
because
prevent that loss.
You have You have initiatives that teach the children the different instruments. You do. There's violin and strings, and these things are happening. But a specific emphasis on folk music, I don't think is being made as it ought to. And maybe, like I said, I think everything, because as you know, I served as the Arts and Culture Committee chairperson for the National Youth Council. And it was there I began to ask the very simple question: what makes somebody a St. Lucian? And we're talking about the whole concept of identity. And when you just peruse the whole, every country that has a strong cultural background, the identity is infused in the music, it's infused in the dress, it's infused in the language. All these things form part of our identity. And I think one of the things we as a society, we have struggled with understanding and accepting what our identity, which is why we don't place as greater emphasis on things like the Creole language. We don't place emphasis as much as possible on things like the Creole songs. When was the last time we really recorded Creole music? So a lot of the Creole music that we have now that we listen to are things that have been there from since SN, and so it's a huge discussion, and I think more and more there is a shift. I think I see the efforts that are being made to shift the focus into making us a society that has a stronger cultural identity. And of course, the Creole language is a huge part of that. And so, I'm hoping that we do everything that we can to make it happen. Because the other countries, nobody debates with the Jamaicans when they speak their patois. Nobody, you just accept that this is Jamaican. This is the way they speak. This is, and so we have suffered a lot from a lot of self-hatred.
And I mean, we are seeing a lot of efforts continuing, and again, perhaps by some of the very same practitioners over the years. Quite recently, Paba Monsignor Patrick Anthony has been engaging in what he has termed Lucian talk, Jesus talk. Right? He's looking at Creole proverbs.
Right.
And the parallels from the Bible, where there's a similar kind of idea, and trying to show some level.
Work has always been.
So he's been doing some really interesting things there, and of course that's really important, because I mean, I know there's been this whole idea of proverbs and how that is used to teach, and of course really important, no doubt, for musicians like yourself as well.
Of course. And of course, with music in and of itself, the whole music is most music, I should say, have lyrics, and part of infusing, part of creating that sort of a powerful message, you tend to have to use that sort of language, maybe proverbs, maybe rhymes, that sort of thing. And so, but that, like I said, Paba has always been doing very good work. He has always been doing a very good work, and I know people have really come down on some genres of our music, in terms of.
I want you to take a pause on that, because it looks like you're going to be here speaking for the entire show. But we actually do have to already take a break. So we're going to end off our Dish of the Day segment and take in our weather report for 12 noon. Orlando's going to take us through that. And when we come back, we can perhaps talk about some of these issues that you're talking about, and get more into the actual music and the content, and how that's shaping our situation right now, especially as we look at our Creole heritage. So we're going to head across at this time for our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One Need tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A plus. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. You're so glad that's why and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to my nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Ju Grizzly, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
St. Lucia, the best diesel tires are at Island Style.
Baby, calm down.
Get into the festive spirit with our pre-Christmas style clearance sale. Starting now, we're slashing prices on a wide selection of high-quality tires, offering unbeatable discounts from 15 to 50% off. Enjoy huge savings now on our massive inventory of ceramic and porcelain tires for every need. We've got the perfect tires to make your home merry and bright. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to give your home a stunning makeover at jaw-dropping prices. Visit us today in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfolk, or call 450-451-453 time. That's 8453 today. Hurry down. These deals won't last long. Save money now. Only at Island Style.
Hurricane season can be unpredictable, but your business doesn't have to be. In the face of adversity, you need a partner that goes above and beyond. Choose the path of resilience and certainty with CNW Business. Through disaster recovery as a strategy solution, CNW Business will safeguard your critical data, maintain seamless communication channels, and help you bounce back faster than ever before. Visit our website, cwcbusiness.com/myopenbusiness to learn more. Remember, a safe business is an open business.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's what, of course, on the 1.1. It's now time for a weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style, Talent Bath, and Flow. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing from the east-southeast near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour, becoming lighter or calm at times. The weather fair to partly cloudy skies with a few brief showers. And the forecast for the Los Angeles. Fair to occasionally cloudy skies with widely scattered showers. And now we move on to the tropical weather outlook. Weak and unstable conditions across the region will continue to cause occasional cloudiness with showers over the Los Angeles during the forecast period. At 11 a.m. today, the center of Tropical Storm Sean was located near the latitude 14.6 degrees north and longitude 41.7 degrees west. Sean is moving towards the west, northwest, near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. Maximum sustained winds are near 40 miles per hour or 65 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Sean is forecast to weaken to a low pressure area later this weekend. And also a tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward in near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. This system has a high chance of tropical cyclone formation during the next 7 days. Interest in the Los Angeles to continue to monitor the progress of this system. And this was your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style, Talent Bath, and Flow.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
St. Lucia, the best diesel tires are at Island Style.
Baby, calm down.
Get into the festive spirit with our pre-Christmas style clearance sale. Starting now, we're slashing prices on a wide selection of high-quality tires, offering unbeatable discounts from 15 to 50% off. Enjoy huge savings now on our massive inventory of ceramic and porcelain tires for every need. We've got the perfect tires to make your home merry and bright. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to give your home a stunning makeover at jaw-dropping prices. Visit us today in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfolk, or call 450-451-453 time. That's 8453 today. Hurry down. These deals won't last long. Save money now. Only at Island Style.
Hurricane season can be unpredictable, but your business doesn't have to be. In the face of adversity, you need a partner that goes above and beyond. Choose the path of resilience and certainty with C&W Business. Through disaster recovery as a strategy solution, C&W Business will safeguard your critical data, maintain seamless communication channels, and help you bounce back faster than ever before. Visit our website, cwcbusiness.com/myopenbusiness to learn more. Remember, a safe business is an open business.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. We are discussing Creole language as well as a Creole song competition, which actually just happened over the weekend past. It was actually won by Mr. Robert Rennie, who is glad to be in studio. We're very glad to have him in studio with us. And we're having a very interesting, broad conversation about the matter of Creole, the importance of activities such as that Creole song competition. And speaking, of course, because he's also a teacher and sharing some of these issues in terms of how we can ensure that Creole is still part of the St. Lucian identity as we move forward. And we've been having some very, very interesting conversations about just that. Maybe to even tie it a little bit to some of the happenings that we're seeing right now over in Israel and Palestine, it should be pointed out that the Hebrew language that is currently spoken is actually a revival. It was the Hebrew died out apparently somewhere on 200 AD or thereabouts, and it was actually brought back as a form of identity to identify the Jewish people, and it was even then that it was developed almost to come along with the creation of that new state of Israel. So it is a very interesting situation how language is used to define identity as an individual.
You can't separate the two. You cannot separate it, which is why when you look at our societies when we started to really when we were birthed, more or less, and I say birth, during the time of us trying to become independent and all these things, one of the things that people have always, with the root of slavery, has always tried to do was to remove language. Don't speak your language. Whether this part of Africa, it doesn't matter where you come from, don't speak your language, because they understood that if you could read people of their language, you also read them of their identity. Now they have to adopt yours, but the truth of the matter is yours is authentic to you, and it is going to be very difficult for us to ever. That's why I tell people to. I mean, a lot of the times, if a black man is in Britain or he speaks British, people always ask him, where are your roots, or if when the Irishman is in the United States, and he always talks about his roots and whatnot, and so I think slavery has done a great injustice to us. There's no doubt about that. And even when we got to the point where we spoke this language out of coming out of slavery, coming out of the experience, toggling between English and toggling between French and all these, there's just this bouillon, this amalgamation, which is what the Creole language is. But truth is, there is I think there's also a certain level of intelligence that comes in actually, the creation of this language too.
And the knowledge that sometimes it actually holds, which is passed down through even way beyond where we don't even know. And I mean that speaks of course to how language evolves, the etymology of terms. Exactly. It's interesting that you're even raising that issue, because even us here, we seem to think that, well, this is something that was formed maybe in our part of the world, in the Antilles.
No.
But it may very well have even predated that by even that interaction in West Africa,
But the language is in Mauritius.
Well, exactly, and of course, precisely. So you see how these Creoles have evolved over a period. So And then you see them in the Indian Ocean, in Mauritius, in the Seychelles.
It will be an
and,
interesting
and
thing.
even in places like Senegal, they have, so certainly.
But that's
so it is a very interesing area
Yeah.
in terms of being able to chart that Creole network all around the world and seeing how it in fact spread and came out. But so yes, the idea of Creole, it's still, though, coming back to your point, we're still somewhat paying a bit of lip service towards it, and it's a bit of superficiality in how we're dealing with it.
I believe that. I think, and again, when you look at what's really happening around these other countries that do speak the Creole, and as we rightly alluded to a while ago, you tend to have to ask the question, why aren't we making greater strides? If in Haiti, I'm certain that the Creole is way more advanced in terms of the teaching of it. Dominica.
I remember in Dominica, at one, I'm not sure if it's changed, but they used to have even the signs in Creole. They used to, it's taught in schools in Dominica.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Seychelles too, in Mauritius as well.
So I think, and this is what I think we understand that efforts like these may be costly. And I feel like we may be at a point where we can't think beyond the depth of our pockets. I honestly believe that. I think that the powers that be may realize that, listen, to do this is going to be a very costly endeavor to probably, because you may have to pull in consultants from here, and they're probably thinking, well, this is just going to be, is it really necessary? Is our society still functioning? Yes, it's functioning. Okay, well, so it's functioning, so we probably don't need. But the truth of the matter is, I've always had, this huge issue with the identity crisis that St. Lucia has. And I always say that in the Caribbean, this country may have the biggest identity crisis, because we lose our accents probably the easiest when we go overseas and we pick up somebody else's own. And you don't see that so much, or as much, I should say, with the Bajans. You don't see that as much with the Jamaicans, who has a stronger, or in some cases, a stronger identity. They've accepted that, listen, I love my Jamaican accent. They will use it. But I tend to feel like we go overseas and give us 2 months, 3 months, we lose our St. Lucian accent, and we pick up the English, or we pick up the American language, and we pick up, and so this issue with identity, I don't think, again, we pay enough attention to it as we ought to, and we probably don't understand the importance of it. But let's hope that maybe we can get the funding. If it's already been done in other areas like Dominica and whatnot, then it means that a template is there. A template already exists. So yeah.
And also considering that, like, let's say signage, for instance. I mean, some people say, well, we don't even have English signs. So then how can you talk about
Creole signs?
But the point is, you don't have the English signs either. So if you are going to do signage, you should be doing the signs as bilingual signs when you're moving forward.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure when I listen to the Canadian Prime Minister speak his French, as well as he speaks his English. And so it's a nice touch when you can hear leaders try to speak the Creole as well. But with regards to the signage, I definitely agree. I think, again, that's making a concerted effort to infuse this language into every aspect of your society, even something as simple as just creating signs in Creole.
You were making the point during the break, actually, about the matter of what is it going to take, and is it going to be enough? And you mentioned, of course, in primary schools right now across St. Lucia, most of these institutions are doing French, offering French.
Yes.
And the reality is that even as these children are going through, and maybe they're doing 1 or 2 sessions of French a week, at the end of that period, it's still not going to be enough for them to be fluent and proficient in French. But they will know perhaps
they will know, they will know how to identify.
the big question is then, and we've heard a lot of talk about, well, okay, let's bring Creole to the primary schools.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not going to be sufficient, is it?
I don't think so. I think, again, I think the language is going to be taught as a foreign language. I don't think it's going to be, it's going to be infused into almost every aspect of the learning experience. And unless we probably decide to do that, which is probably teach an entire lesson in Creole.
So in other words, what you're almost saying, I mean, just like in, as you mentioned, Canada, there are many of these, what they term them French immersion schools. So you're going to that school and you're learning the curriculum in that language, in French. So you're almost as if you're promoting a Creole language school.
So and that's the direction we need to take. We need, in terms of getting serious about this thing, because the children may be able to say one word, they may be able to say two words, but that's why I said if we're not able to spread the Creole across the curriculum, as opposed to just learning French, for 30 minutes or half, or an hour for the week, if we can put the Creole in every aspect, so an English, or let's say, well, not English, but let's say you're teaching a lesson on science and technology, but you're teaching that entire lesson in Creole. So now they, as the students, have to become more familiar with maybe, scientific things, but they're learning it from that vantage.
Terms that we now have to come into the Creole language, so it has to respond to it as well.
Exactly. So I think that's really the direction we ought to go. I think if we go to the direction where Creole is taught, one teacher learns the Creole and they come and teach it at the school, I'm not particularly sure, based on the precedent that has been set by the Spanish and the French teachers, I don't necessarily think that the children will come out of it with a certain degree of proficiency that they can say, hey, we can speak Creole fluently by the time we leave the primary school. And which is why I was saying a greater emphasis actually needs to be placed on the homes, because if in the home setting the Creole is always being spoken to the children, then that degree of familiarity will be they will have it. It's always there. The parents, rather than saying things in English, they say it in Creole. And you would see that those people who were raised with the grandparents, their Creole is up there. So yeah, that's one of the things we could do.
Coming back to the music, your experience, of course, being part of this competition, what was it like?
It was my first year. Participating. I registered to participate last year. I did not get an opportunity to. I think my schedule was a bit, topsy-turvy. But I said,
and how long has it been going on, this Creole, Shante Creole?
Wow, quite a number of years. I'm not sure the specific amount of years, but I believe it's actually been happening over 5 years already.
Okay.
And so I said I wanted to participate this year, and part of my thinking was, we have a lot society. When you hear people talk about popular Creole music, whether it be Denry segment or whatever, you hear how people talk and say.
Robert, I just want you to hold that thought, because we're going to try to take in a few calls as
No
well.
problem.
And I think people will be very eager to get into the conversation. So let's try to see if we can actually squeeze a few in. Good afternoon and welcome to the
Yes,
Lunchroom.
good
What's on your
afternoon,
plate
Carlos,
today?
on your guest. I just heard the gentleman mention about those children with their grandparents and speaking Creole within the home.
Yes.
It's encouraging to hear that now, because growing up, I was forbidden to speak Creole at home. My grandmother didn't want to hear us speak Creole, period. So that is why you find there are people here, adults, who can't even speak Creole. I cannot speak Creole entirely. I cannot even write words or properly count or define money in Creole. So the idea of encouraging Creole being spoken at home is something that I support, and I would only wish that we dedicate that as a principle, that we encourage parents themselves to learn the Creole and pass it on to their kids, because You even have foreigners now who speak Creole, non-St. Lucian people who speak Creole better than St. Lucians and understand it better than St. Lucians because they dedicate themselves and their hope to learn it.
Right. No,
Okay.
that's a really important point that you're making, caller. Sometimes we're not appreciative of what's around us.
Yeah.
And thanks very much, caller, for that contribution.
Okay.
And have a good one.
And it also brings into focus what we said earlier with regards to people having this idea or perception that the Creole language was, not to be spoken because it was a language of the poor people. So it did happen even from the grandparents' generation.
Oh, no, even before that. Way back, it was
Exactly.
suppressed by the colonial power, certainly.
Exactly.
Let's take another call at this time. Of course, the number to call in is 452-3046.
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
And we take another call at this time. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Yeah, I listening to the gentleman there and the last caller. That is real facts. People, Creole was a dirty word. If you speak Creole as if you are the lower than low, because as if St. Lucia was class distinction. When the English left, who they left in church, they speak English, and they think they take over, and they didn't want the children to speak Creole, and Creole was a dirty word anyway. Et petit nèg ça la amputation est sorti par ça parler anglais. That's how it will go. But and this I listening to the gentleman there. I would like to ask him what's the difference between Creole and patois. Because we say some people say I when ça parle patois, na parle patois, and the other will say I speak in Creole. What's the difference?
Non, mais comme si la pas ni différence puisque créole patois pour moi même c'est même ouais bah là c'est en Jamaïque. Yo ka di Jamaïque parler c'était patois.
Oui.
Vous comprenez?
Patois, oui.
Si yo ka parler patois en Jamaïque mais Jamaïque pas parler créole là nous ka parler. C'est so patois c'est juste un mot moun ka servi pour dire well ou ka parler ba qui pas really anglais. Vous comprenez? Qui vraiment anglais. So patois c'est pas normalement créole, mais créole c'est en qualité patois.
En qualité patois.
Vous comprenez ça Nadia?
Mais moi je sais plus si capable même créole là. Et d'ailleurs ou yon kon adam mon ka di moi tout fil ça vaut la moins mêlé. De nous ka iten Andrew de ka la maman ka di faire opportunité ba moi mêlé et puis let. So tout des bagay la TFC différent. Ça vaut la moins fil ça vaut la moins mêlé. C'est opportunité ba moi mêlé et puis let.
Ou dit faire opportunité ba avec mêlé et puis let?
Oui, mêlé.
Oui.
Non. Ça pas douette.
OK, nakuto.
Si ou ka mêlé au bagay épilet, c'est bagay ou ka mélanger ou pas ka mêler, mais s'il ça volant ka mêler.
OK.
Ou point?
Oui.
Wa pour no bay hodia?
Oui. Non, moi comprendre ça ka dire.
Merci. Bon après.
So mélanger avec mêler ou ka dire là na différence ça. Oui, non, ça la vous tout pas parler.
Fil ça volant moi mêler, lève ou ka démêler fil là, il noti, il ka fait né, il mêler.
Right.
Local fait un pot café ou pas ka mêler, ou pas mélanger.
Ouais, OK. So ouais, mais ça est pouvoir créole là tout savent.
Oui.
Ça est puisque pas la panige moun qui savent mode là pour servir ces mots en créole là ou savent. La panige moun qui really savent font manière bagay ça font.
Les gros maman moi ti ka mener moi la messe.
Oui.
Nous ka aller la messe. Et peut là ka dit la messe là. Mais la messe ça c'était la messe français.
Mais oui.
C'est en français.
Mais oui.
Because toutes les ikaido Jésus that's Jesus Christ. Qui dit Jésus. C'est Lady bon Dieu. That is God.
Mm-hmm.
Ouais, but parce tout ça qui est là, say Jésus this, Jésus fait this, Jésus fait ça.
The caller, the patois is generally referred to as like a dialect, right? Or a part of another language. But in the case of Creole, what they're saying is that you have the words usually are being borrowed from French, but the structure of the language, how you conjugate, how you form your sentences, that is actually more African in its origin.
Now you're
Okay?
talking. Now you're talking.
So that is
African.
why a lot of the proponents are saying that it's not a patois, it's a different language. It's a distinct language.
It's like, you know.
So
you
that
will
and they
say
decided to
yam,
call it
yam.
Creole or
But,
Creole.
Some people will say Afro yam because the yam will come out from Africa. Or they'll say gango peas. The peas that come from the Congo, they call it gango peas. You see? So it's a lot of African in what we want to speak as Creole. But some people say broken French. No, the word broken French is like I will walk today. I come out from work and I'll meet my friend. I say, hey, ça qu'a fait camarade? Moi travaille aujourd'hui à me caler la maison.
And to call it broken French is somewhat derogatory, as if, that people don't understand the French, so therefore they've created this, they're just trying to mimic the French, but
I'll say,
it's different.
Moi travaille wed. The word is j'ai. Moi, if it's in French, is j'ai. J'ai travaillé,
yes,
j'ai parlé la maison, I posé. J'ai travaillé, moi travaille wed, me calé la caille, moi, I posé. You understand it? Yeah, one goes in French, the other one goes in Creole. But the j'ai is always in French. Moi, in French again, vous, j'ai.
Right, so you don't have any of, yes, it's moi, it would be.
You don't have moi. Moi is Creole.
That is correct.
Bon après-midi.
All right, thanks very much, Colin. Have a good one. But yes, I mean, and even some of this issue, as you're rightfully saying, in terms of how we even perceive the language, how it's still being understood by people, how it's seen, is still a major issue that a lot of people, don't quite get.
Yeah,
right?
which is why, again, too, I think, and again, when that this identity thing for me is such a huge passion, because even when you look at even the history that is being taught in schools, how does that tie into the the whole identity conversation? We're still learning about Columbus, and we're still learning about Amerigo Vespucci, and we're learning about Simon Bolivar. I went to CDF recently, and I noticed this they had this huge board inside of the office, and they were talking about this slave lady who tried to rebel, right? And she was they killed her in a particular way. I don't remember all the details, but they killed her in a particular way, and she was the last person who had been killed in that particular way, because they said.
Is she talking about the person here in St. Lucia?
Yeah, in St. Lucia.
Or Petronile Duive, is it? The lady who was honored last year, I think, maybe you're referring to. Yes.
It's possibly her, right?
Yes. Okay, we're going to try to squeeze in our final call. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon. You said that the show, the City Creole.
Sorry, caller, you're very faint.
You said that the City Creole started. You said the City Creole started about 5 years. It started in 2012.
No, I said it's been more than 5 years.
Oh, okay, more than 5 years. I know
so you're saying it's about 11 years now? Okay.
Yes, because I know it was in the double figures, but I couldn't remember quite.
But the thing I was told is that the people, they were not much people at the show. That it was not well attended.
Yeah, but there wasn't a very good attendance, you're saying.
No, it was not a good attendance. And I don't know if it's because there was not enough advertisement, because usually these shows usually have a good number of people turning up at them. Because I had my friend that sang at that show, plus I had a cousin who came down to sing. Yeah, but it was not. I think
Caller, I'm not sure if it's us, but you're very faint right now.
Must be me. Yeah, but I'm hoping that a lot of ad be done, maybe starting at August, to promote it a lot more, because, I listen to some of the songs, and they are very, very good. I listen to them on the radio, those that are out, and I'm wondering why that we don't go and support our own, especially in Creole months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I need to ask him something. How do you say juice in patois?
Juice?
Mm-hmm.
As in, like juice? Jus?
The juice you drink.
No, usually, to me, I know people say jus.
Jus?
Yeah.
Okay, in French is jus, I suppose.
Yeah, they say jus.
Because as a child, my grandfather, he told me once, I famwe a swank.
Sorry, could you repeat that, caller?
My grandfather, he told me, I famwe a swank.
A swa?
A swank.
Swak.
Swank. That's what he told me, to make him a swank. And then I was wondering what was a swank. And then he told me swank was juice, lime juice.
Could you just repeat that word again, caller?
Swank. He told me I famwe a swank.
Swank.
Yes, because his dad was French, so he was actually French, but came here as a baby. But he told me, I don't know if it's because his daddy asked me to, I felt swank, and I was lost. And then it let me know it was a lime juice was a swank.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm not too sure the origin of that, but it might be something specific to maybe the type of juice. I don't know.
The lime juice, he said it was a swank. A swank. Like the way he said, I felt a swank.
Oh, okay. Maybe like a citrus juice or a sour juice.
Yes,
Okay.
And some of the things I just was not understanding, so he would actually make me understand what he meant by going and do that. Even like a pin, he would tell me, I point a cess the pin, a cess, like the way he pronounced it. And I think once I did not know what he meant, and I went and I asked an uncle of mine, and my uncle told me to take 6 little pins and bring it to my grandfather. And my grandfather, he was a little bit upset because he felt like he was taking him for a puppy show. But my uncle knew exactly what my grandfather meant, but he actually make me do something else just to take my grandfather for. Because the patois, they were not really teaching us patois, although my mother spoke patois, my grandparents. But there's a lot of things. I can already have a conversation in patois. To say I'm talking to somebody, I go somewhere and I need to have a discussion with them in patois, I'm totally lost.
And I think that's a big question in terms of the fluency and the ability to speak it. And so that is where I keep on asking, are we in fact quite likely declining in very many ways?
Yeah, we are.
And what it's going to take to be able to shift that.
And so you're noticing that it's not even just the generation, the children now. It's the generation even before them. I like speaking to my mother particularly because my mother, every time I speak to her, she speaks to me only in patois. So when I when I call her Creole.
But I don't know if last Sunday there was this program on NTN with the children, the young children from the primary schools, and they were so fluent.
In Creole?
This was a song competition?
Not a song. They actually had to introduce themselves and their talent.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And most of them spoke the patois so fluent that I would not have...
I'm sure they would have gotten some training.
So it goes if they were relearning, exactly. If they were
sure they would have gotten some training for that.
Yes, they were very, very, very good.
But that's it. We need to get to a point where our generation or 2 secondary school children can sit down there and stand up there and have a whole conversation in Creole.
Yeah.
And we're not saying that it's not happening. You have these there are.
But they're becoming more and more pockets. And not mainstream.
And not mainstream. So
thanks very much for that contribution, caller. But we're going to have to end it here because we're already way over time.
I'm so sorry.
Robert, any parting words from you?
I want to say a huge thank you to Kai Creole and for Chanté Creole 2023. I think it was a very wonderful experience. My song Usaleve was very different. It was a song that was almost opera, a little ballad. It was kind of infused with these types of genres, but very, very, very different. And that was one of the things I was concerned about. And we were getting to that people have this connotation or this perception that Creole can only be smutty and these types of things. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to create a song that at the end of the day, it had a positive message. It spoke a little bit of my experiences growing up, and it ended with telling people that no matter what you have gone through, Usa Leve. And
well, I hope you can share the music with us so we can play it
I actually wanted to record it. I have not done that. But
well, we'll have to look forward to what you're doing just that.
For sure.
And wonderful congratulations
but thank you again
once
as
again
well for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Success in that Creole song competition, which is all happening, of course, as part of Creole Heritage Month. And we've got a number of other activities happening, so we do hope that you can enjoy all of them. Thanks very much, Robert.
No problem.
And, of course, to Orlando for handling the matters over on the board. And to all those who are looking forward to the weekend, do have yourself a wonderful and enjoyable weekend. I'm your host, Alex George Jr., saying goodbye.